We operate under an assumed psychological baseline called proximal safety. We believe that if we are near other people, or standing within an environment we know well, we are inherently protected. Walking the exact same route or visiting the exact same building day after day creates a cognitive blind spot. The familiarity of our routine causes us to ignore the physical vulnerabilities built directly into the architecture around us. Predators understand this flaw. They actively identify and weaponize specific geographic layouts to isolate individuals before making contact. Take a 17-year-old traveling with his father through North Carolina. At 2 in the morning, he walked into a highway rest stop, assuming that dozens of sleeping truck drivers in the parking lot provided a secure perimeter. Or consider a woman in her early 20s commuting through New York City. Navigating 2 trains, catching a bus, and a long walk home was second nature to her after years of repetition. Half a world away, a 19-year-old student returned to his home in a quiet European suburb. He knew all his neighbors and considered the area entirely devoid of threats. In all 3 cases, the victims were moments away from discovering their physical surroundings were working against them. The rest area at 2 a.m. offered a sharp contrast. Outside, the parking lot was packed entirely with commercial trucks. Inside, the cavernous public restroom was completely empty. The building itself possessed a severe architectural flaw. The thick concrete walls and partitioned 2-section layout created an absolute barrier. Any sound or visual distress signal generated inside would never reach the drivers sleeping 50 feet away. This diagram illustrates how the space was weaponized. The room was divided into a left and right section. When the teenager entered the left side, a tall man standing by the urinals tracked his movement. Seeking distance, the teenager moved to the mirrors on the right side. 10 seconds later, the man followed, using the central dividing wall to block lines of sight and maintain control over the room. Rather than attacking immediately, the man faked normal behavior, pretending to use the facilities while positioning himself directly between the teenager and the single exit door. The physical layout of the room had been used to effectively corner the target. Recognizing the spatial trap, the teenager disrupted the stalker's geometry. He took out his shaving razor, making it highly visible in his hand. By signaling he was armed and ready to defend the exit path, he forced the older man to freeze. The teenager walked past the frozen stalker and exited the building. The proximity of all those sleeping truck drivers was a geographic illusion. Once he crossed the threshold into the restroom, he was functionally alone. The New York City transit system moves millions of people daily, yet its massive underground architecture creates profound moments of isolation late at night. Even when surrounded by people, the physical environment can turn hostile. On the train, a homeless man aggressively insulted the commuting woman. The surrounding passengers actively avoided eye contact, creating a psychological void. The crowded car offered zero protection. The physical threat escalated during the final leg of her commute. Stepping off the bus, she had to navigate the transition from a well-lit commercial road to a quiet, poorly lit residential street. This map highlights what security professionals call an isolation funnel. Late-night transit stops force pedestrians into narrow, predictable pathways. As the woman approached her street, the man from the bus was already waiting at the entrance, tracking her exact route. The stalker matched her pace and began whispering to her. He was wearing latex gloves, but the weather was warm, wearing no face mask. This specific clothing choice signaled a premeditated intent rather than casual caution. To break the isolation of the dead-end street, she retreated to the lights of a nearby liquor store and called her brother. By bringing another person into the immediate geography of the threat, she ruined the stalker's spatial advantage, forcing him to walk away. Urban transit relies on constant geographic transitions. Every set of stairs, platform edge, and quiet cross street contains specific blind spots that an aggressor can use against you. That same vulnerability exists far from the city core. In a quiet European suburb, a 19-year-old student felt completely insulated by the predictable, low-crime environment. Residents in places like this naturally lower their psychological defenses. Walking home late on a Friday, the silence of the neighborhood was broken by a horrific noise. A man screamed in what sounded like excruciating physical agony. In suburban environments, an extreme audio anomaly acts as an acoustic lure, drawing curious residents out of their secure homes to investigate. The student stopped to locate the source of the noise. Through the darkness, he spotted a group of 4 or 5 men. The moment they saw him, the entire group charged directly at his position, instantly triggering a severe fight or flight response. He sprinted for his front door, entering what is known as a threshold trap. This is the moment of maximum physical vulnerability, where a victim must pause to fumble with their keys while the pursuing threat rapidly closes the distance. Dropping his keys once, he managed to unlock the door, get inside, and throw the deadbolt just as the men reached the property. He used the primary defensive geography of his home to immediately end the pursuit. The next night, someone threw a rock against his second-story window. It raises a deeply unsettling question. Was the scream from a genuine victim, or was it a calculated acoustic trigger designed to find out which houses had unlocked doors? Following these encounters, the victims shifted their behavior. The student's family installed high-tech surveillance to monitor their property, a visible admission that the neighborhood alone was no longer enough to ensure safety. Surviving a targeted threat changes how a person scans their surroundings. Every hallway and street corner is evaluated for its lines of sight and potential exits. In the middle of an encounter, the brain's hyper-focus on spatial geography can make time feel as though it has slowed down. A 5-minute walk becomes a prolonged exercise in calculating distances and identifying cover. We have zero control over the intentions of people walking behind us on a dark street, but we can actively master our awareness of the physical spaces we inhabit. The world is full of blind spots. Recognizing these architectural vulnerabilities is the first step toward navigating them safely.